But without further ado, before I call our first guest up to the stage, I want to tell a very quick story how I met Linda. And I'm not going to name the event, but we were at an event a couple of years ago in Belfast City Centre, and it was crap. It was very contrived. Do you remember? And I just felt out of place. It was one of those kind of stuffy events. And Linda came up to me and says, "Oh, you're Annette Kelly's friend, who was our last guest, Little Penny Thoughts." And I says, "I am indeed. I feel a wee bit out of place here." And she says, "That's because it's shite. That's why." And we just clicked straight away. Linda spoke with Maria Curran, who's in the room, at another event we done called the Rising Tide Network at Splash and Money More. And her story is incredible. Her business is incredible. It's called Bellamianta. I'm sure a lot of people in the room, in fact, Denise Watson, you messaged me today saying you're a regular client. But today's getting to know Linda, who is the founder, who is the CEO, and finding out a bit of her origin story. So please give Linda Stinson a very warm welcome to the stage.
That was some introduction.
Isn't it? So this is the Natural Resilience Podcast. This is episode 15, and it's brought to you by the Balmoral Hotel, Belfast. And today, I am joined by none other than Linda Stinson. Welcome.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
So, Linda, put your hands up in the room, actually, if you've heard of the brand Bellamianta.
All the women.
It's a renowned brand. It's amazing. It's just going bigger and bigger and bigger. But what I'm interested in beyond the brand, who is Linda Stinson? Can you tell us a bit around your upbringing?
So I was reared in Pomeroy, in the mountains of Pomeroy, a village. I don't know if any of you know it. Mountain reared, bucket fed, as they say. And I am one of 7 children. So there's 5 girls, 2 boys. My mummy worked in the government all of her life. She worked in the court service. And my father was a builder, plasterer by trade. We were all kind of steps and stones, so we kind of all reared each other. We were reared in the main street in Pomeroy. And yeah, we're from quite a big family network. At school, they used to say, "You fucking O'Keans." That's my mother's surname. Because I think there was about 80 cousins at one stage. So we kind of were like, we were like the mafia around Pomeroy. But yeah, that's my upbringing. I would say, we weren't not a very wealthy family. Both my parents worked. They worked really hard to give us everything that we could, but we never wanted for anything because we had each other.
Love that. Is there, when you reflect, so loads of cousins, loads of siblings, the Pomeroy mafia, when you reflect back on that, is there any one or a collection of people that you look back on and go, that's where I got my ambition from, or my drive, or that entrepreneurial spirit? Was there anyone in your family that kind of showed that?
I would say both my mother and my father. Like when you're rearing 7 children and you're, going out to work every day. My mother might have been driving 300 to 400 miles every day back and forth. And my father would have been getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting a squad of men together. They'd have been maybe sitting in the sitting room, and then all into the van. On a Friday evening, I would have been helping my dad do the wages. And that's one thing I loved. See, counting the money. And I'd be like, that envelope, no bother, Daddy, I've got you. Friday evening was always great because I loved helping him do all the brown envelopes. And I suppose that's things that stick in my mind. Obviously there was points in your life where you thought, Jesus, I wish Mummy was here. I wish, I was coming home to my mother. But it learnt us probably more resilience as children, because then when she did come home, she was coming home with either the new Levi jeans or the new kickers. It was like we always got, we never felt kind of left out or left behind, or like we didn't have the cool stuff that all the other kids did. And we always got on holidays, whether it was, down to Bundoran for the weekend or to Butlins. She worked hard to make sure that we had everything that everybody else had. So I suppose that's kind of always stuck with me as well.
And were you at that age able to join the dots between your parents working hard and the fact that you were getting on holidays and had the new designer clothes and
Oh,
seeing
definitely.
the benefits of hard work?
Yeah, because like mummy would have worked overtime in order for us to go on holidays over the summer. So she would have spent most of like, previous to the summer, you'd have seen like she wasn't home till late. She mightn't have been home till 8 o'clock. She was away maybe at 6 o'clock in the morning. And like my eldest sister Laura was either getting us out to school or I was getting the younger ones out to school. Thank God we did live in the main street in Pomeroy because the lollipop man was right outside the door. So, all you had to do was walk across the road over to school. But you always knew when mummy was doing the overtime was because we were going on holidays.
Before Bellamianta, I'm making an assumption, but I don't think Pomeroy was linked with makeup, beauty,
No,
tanning.
definitely not.
I mean, how did this happen?
Um, well, I was always into like acting and singing and everything when I was younger, and that's always say, when we were younger, mummy always, tried to identify what our talents was. Mine was definitely not Irish dancing, but like my youngest sister Nuala, like she was an all-Ireland champion, so she'd have been away every weekend to the dancing or whatever. I was definitely more singing, acting, and at that time in Pomeroy, we actually had a really good theatre group. Like we were doing lots of really big productions like Cats and Les Miserables. And Mummy would have always sent me till, believe it or not, she sent us all to elocution lessons. We used to have an elocution teacher come to our house on a Saturday morning. And the only thing I looked forward to was the tea and toast in the middle of the break. But she was very, very good. When I look back now, she actually had a big impact in my life. Although my mother would say it's the worst money she ever spent in her life because, you can take the girl out of Pomeroy, but you can't take Pomeroy out of the girl. But I think that definitely has helped me even, growing up, being able to deal with different situations. But that's probably where I would say the love of makeup and everything theatrical probably came from. And I sang in a band for 6 years too, so...
Really?
Did you not know that?
Give us a wee tune.
No, not tonight. My second days are over.
Did you have any jobs before going
Fuck, I've
self-employed?
done everything.
Give us
I have
give us
done
an overview.
everything. How long now? I have cleaned schools. I have cleaned asses. I have I mean everything. I was the first female bar woman to ever work at the Greenville Bar. I was a lifeguard for many years. What else? I actually, my first ever full-time job, whenever I actually went into full-time employment after I was like, oh shit, this means I have to get a job. I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. I was one of those children that left school going, okay, I'm not on the West End. I'm not famous. What do I do with myself? And I ended up going into the civil service, and I went into the job centre in Chester Street, and I used to help people back to work. So people that maybe couldn't write CVs or, were looking for work. And I actually, do you know what? I actually loved that. You got a great reward out of it. And then we did like a target initiative scheme in West Belfast where we were really, helping people in West Belfast and helping them, if it was writing their CVs or identifying what their skills were. That I actually found really, really rewarding. And then I got promoted to the Child Support Agency. And I was in basically looking after a whole finance team. And what we used to have to do was to race after non-resident parents who wouldn't pay their bills for their children. And I hated it. I actually hated it. Like I was having to ring people up and say, actually, you haven't paid for your child. Now I'm actually taking this money out of your wages. And then the straw that broke the camel's back for me was I got a application through my desk one day, and it was like, who is the father of your non-resident parent? And it was like, if you had a can of beans, you don't know which one meant you for it. And I said, no, this is not for me. Is this what my life is becoming? But you know what, at the time, it served me well. I was living in Belfast. I was living the student life with all of my friends, although I was probably paying for half their nights out and all the rest because I was the only one working. And I decided, no, that's it. I'm going to move home. And then I started working for an insurance company. So I did like personal line insurance and commercial insurance. And when you're working for like a brokerage, you have to obviously deal with so many different companies. So I kind of love that bit of haggling, in between. And then obviously my husband sells cars for a living. So I was always getting a right bit of custom put my way. So I was always very good at the sales and good at the commission too. But I always think that every bit of all them jobs that I've done have all given me the skills to do what I'm doing today in my own business, because like, from the civil service, you learned how to deal with the general public. You learned how to be, have empathy for people. You learned how to actually deal with all different walks of life and characters. Um, from being a lifeguard, you learned how to be very observant. Life skills. It taught you fitness as well. From working, say for the insurance company, you were dealing with figures all the time, so your mathematical skills were put to practice. And also you're very good at negotiating as well, negotiating rates. So all them things have kind of brought me to where I am today. And if I didn't do acting and if I didn't do singing, I wouldn't be fit to probably sit here and talk to you guys today.
I love how you've acquired the skills to go self-employed, because it's no mean feat with regards to how far and how big you've scaled Bellamianta. But I'm going to take you back to your wedding day,
Yeah.
because it was meant to be the happiest day of your life. And on reflection, it probably is with the Bellamianta story. But tell the audience what happened with the tanning.
So I had been working in the beauty industry, and I had this burning desire that I really wanted to open up my own business, but I could not think what I wanted to do. And I had Holly at that stage, because I had Holly whenever I was 26. But I was like, what do I do? I don't have loads of money. How am I going to just open up a makeup brand? Um, I'd love a spa, but sure, I want a whole spa. I want everything. And then I actually realized, with a service driven, business, I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to have more children. That, from working on the makeup counters, and even people always wanted me. And to be honest with you, I wanted a business where I could make money when I was sleeping. And that's the truth. And then I realized very quickly, after working for the likes of like Benefit Cosmetics and Space NK and Urban Decay, that actually these people are smart. These people are selling product. They've got a desirable product that people want. They've got online e-commerce businesses. They're making money when they sleep. What is my product? But I never thought that I could probably do it until I was actually working in Space NK. And a lot of that time we actually got to meet brand owners, and their brands were actually built on one hero product. So I was sitting going, what could be my one hero product? Like, what is my one hero product? What has somebody not done? Racking my brain, but thinking, Jesus, not another lipstick, not another eyeliner. What could it actually be? Because you needed to solve a problem. You needed something that people were going to want, and obviously believe in as well. And then I had my wedding day. I'd been for a spray tan, and I woke up on the morning of my wedding, and basically I was covered in patches everywhere. So I have eczema, and underneath my arms were green. I had to take bleach to underneath my arms, and I had like a 1920s themed wedding. Thank God, because the black and white theme sort of suited it, and everybody came with their Tommy guns and all the rest. And my husband sells cars, so the gangster theme sort of suited there too. Um, but I remember waking up that morning going, holy fucking Christ of almighty. And my hair actually, and nobody even knows this either, but my hair had like started to like split at the front, and where I'd got my blonde done was turning yellow. But thank God I had like this Demonte cap on me, and Tina like sprayed dry shampoo into my hair so that it looked more white than it did yellow. Any blonde out there will understand. And my sister then ended up having to roller paint my back with foundation. But still, when I look back, the only photos that I actually like are the black and white ones, because I can see the patchy tan in like any of the coloured ones. But as I say, it was a 1920s themed wedding, and it suited the theme. Like, but you know what? I didn't let it ruin the day. I just said, right, get that champagne open, get me a drink quick, get me up the aisle, and then give me another drink quick.
I'll not make a joke about Pomeroy and Tommy guns.
Saying on.
Did you know there and then that was going to be your product?
No, like obviously, it was my wedding day, came away. I got married on the 29th of November. And I always said that I wanted like a sort of a Christmassy themed wedding. So the 29th of November, I was assured that the Christmas decorations would be up. I got married in Cabra Castle and came home. And obviously we were straight into Christmas. Like I had Holly. Holly was only like 4 at that stage. And we had just the most amazing Christmas. Like me and Jason didn't go on honeymoon. We couldn't actually fucking afford it, to be honest with you, until the March of the next year. But it wasn't until I actually went into the beautician, who's still a really good, by the way, disclaimer, it was not her fault. Colleen Lauren, if you're out there, I always have to say this. But it wasn't the way that she spread me or anything. It was simply just the product that was used on my body. So when I actually got the bottle of tan over, I looked at the ingredients and I actually realised that there was a high level of alcohol in it and there was no real skin nourishing ingredients in it. Now I'm a real skincare junkie. When you work for the likes of Space NK, you get trained by hundreds of skincare brands. So skincare actually was something that I was thinking about, that I was thinking maybe I could develop something in skincare. May it be just like a serum, like a super serum that, is my hero product. And then I decided, you know what? I'm actually going to take all of that knowledge that I've built from skincare, from working with all these different skincare brands, and I'm going to put it into a tan. A lot of the tans out there at the time all contained alcohol, which were performance driven. Like they were good if you didn't have bad skin, or not bad skin, but if you didn't have like skin that was going to react to stuff. And the other products that were out there were organic. Unfortunately, the organic products, once you use them on your body, and any woman out there who takes the effort to do a full body tan, if it washes down the bloody drain, you'll be upset. So I wanted to have a clean and affordable luxury, basically, like not that it was like Mastige is where I'd say our brand is. It's like not luxury, but it's in the Mastige luxury market. It's probably more expensive than most tans out there, but it's still affordable. But I wanted to combine the skincare and it so that it really, nourished the skin whilst tanning you with absolutely no alcohol in it and no GMOs, no sulfates, no parabens, just as clean as I could get it, but ensuring that it was performance driven. So even with like our first formulation, like I think I reformulated it like 97 times before we got like the first formula right.
Talk us through the process, Linda, of coming up with these ideas with your family at your kitchen table in Pomeroy to actually getting them, selling products online and in shops. What did that look like?
To be honest with you, I didn't tell them very much. It's a bit like, about 2 weeks before my wedding, my mother was like, have you done anything for this wedding? Is there going to be a wedding? I was like, it's all under control. I'm kind of like, I like to kind of do things myself. And then whenever I get to the point, then I'll talk about it, if you know what I mean. But I just researched loads of different factories and I'd read loads of different books from loads of different CEOs. And one book that I remember reading was Jo Malone's and her whole story, but also actually people that have actually had brands that didn't own their own IPs and then went to move their manufacturing and had to totally reformulate all their products. So one thing that I had in my head was that if I was going to choose a factory, that I wanted to make sure that I owned the IP, because a lot of the factories out there, when you go, they're either private labeled, which means basically they have a product, you can change the scent, stick a label on it, and then it's your own. But even some of the factories that you formulate with, even though you've done all the hard work and you've formulated with them, they own the rights to your formula. So I found, I basically had researched loads of different factories, but I ended up finding a factory in Mayo. And at that time, they were down to 3-day week. and I worked alongside the chemist and started to formulate. Like, we were the first ones to ever use like sea buckthorn oil, like in a tanning product, which is like a superfood for your skin. It's like 10 times more vitamin C than an orange. We use stuff like papaya extract, which really helps with the exfoliation of the tan. You know, we brought like loads of super fruits into the formula, you know, multimacular hyaluronic acid instead of just like, you know, the simple hyaluronic acid that you would get in
I'm
anything.
nodding my head as if I know what you're on about.
So,
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
of these things that was really going to nourish the skin. And I remember them thinking, Jesus, how is she going to make this affordable? But like, we did, and they had never made tan before. And basically, with Bellamianta and with Bellamianta's business, they ended up, the guy who owned it at the time, he was kind of at retirement stage, and he was really looking to sell, to be honest. And he was able to bring the factory to back up to full time and overtime. And we still do produce in that factory, but we have a few other factories that we use now because of obviously volume.
And talk about the volume, because it's just scaled astronomically. I mean,
Yeah.
give the people in the audience an overview of where Bellamianta is now, the size of your team, how many products you're shipping every year, because it's mind-boggling.
Keelan, do you know how many products? So we are about to hit 10 million this year for Bellamianta. And obviously I have Iconic Bronze as well, which is another brand, which I'll get into. We started after Bellamianta, but there was a need for that product in the market, and it as a brand by itself actually stands really well by itself. And we've just introduced teenage skincare into that brand because it is geared at that younger demographic at a lower price point. But yeah, so we have between the warehouse and the offices is about 22,000 square foot. The warehouse is 18,000 square foot, which we've nearly basically grown out of at the minute. We're now shipping to 10 international countries, and hopefully another one after my recent trip to Dubai, because we had a really good talk with like a really good retailer out there. We are Boots Ireland's #1 tannin brand. We're just about to launch all of our cosmetics in acrylic stands. We've actually recently just launched them into the likes of Gordon's and Medicare, and loads of independent pharmacies around Northern Ireland and the south of Ireland. And all of the acrylic stands are due to launch now into Boots in the start of next year. But that's just another bow to our string, as I say. Makeup was a love of mine. It's where I started out as. Whenever I decided on the name Bellamianta, I wanted to make sure that it didn't just, you know, pinpoint me to one thing, that I could actually do lots of things within that brand. So I suppose the real growth for us has actually came mostly in the past 2.5 years, because we've diversified more into colour cosmetics. And when you come to Bellamianta now, you don't just get your tan, you can get your body products, you can get your lipstick, you can get your makeup products, you can get all your gift sets. And we have our new foundation, which I've been working on for about 2.5 years. It'll be launching now in the new year.
I want to get into the nuts and bolts of your scaling journey, the marketing, the branding, TikTok, for example, these things that you do really, really well. But you're the only person, we've been messaging back and forward during the week to sort tonight. You're the only person I know that was in a Dubai on Monday and then Waterford Tuesday. Says, I'm in Dubai. I sent me the questions. Next day, did you get them okay? Yeah, I'm in Waterford. I'll write back later.
I know. No, that was a wee bit of a mad one. So it was. So we were over in Dubai exhibiting at the beauty show. And then, do you know what? We were 10 years in business this year. And my mother has been with me in the business now 8 years. So she's the managing director. Daddy's with me like 6 or 7 years, I'll argue. And he manages the warehouse. And I always said, once I had 10 years in business, that I would bring them somewhere really special. So because I was over there at the beauty show, I said, right, them two and my husband, they all get on really well. They came over and Jesus, we had some weeks crack. Like, we definitely had a brilliant week's crack. My voice is still a wee bit crackly from it. And then when I come home, friends that I'd met 8 years ago on holidays, and we still go on holidays and we're still best friends. They're from Waterford, and it happened to be his 50th birthday party. And I was under pressure to make sure I made the journey to Waterford. So a 4 hour drive to Waterford to party for the weekend and then home again. So let's just say Monday and Tuesday was a wee bit rough.
Linda, you excel in a world I know very little about, the likes of e-commerce, TikTok shop, influencer marketing. What works for a founder in the room thinking, I want to get into that e-commerce world, I want to make money while I sleep too? What would be the advice you would give somebody, and how has it worked for you? How have you used the internet and technology to help grow your business?
I think I'm in this 10 years, and honestly, I do feel sorry for anybody trying to break through in the market right now. We're an established brand with heritage, and you have to pay to play. And I'm only able to pay to play now. I wasn't able to pay, able to pay to play 10 years ago. I was very, very lucky back then that I had a friend, Neil, and I gossip guy back in the day. And I was not a digital genius, like Facebook, yes, like, comment. But I was, what was I? I was like 8 months pregnant, and he used to sit with me every night, and he would teach me actually how to actually do an ad, and he would teach me how to boost the ad. Do you remember the way you used to be able to boost the ad back then? How to geographically target different areas, how to actually put the keywords in that I needed to do. So he taught me great skills back then that probably a lot of people didn't know, but he worked for Facebook at the time. And I thank him to this day, and me and him still great friends. It's something I would say that actually propelled me on my business. I think back then as well, 10 years ago, people, especially in Northern Ireland, were not utilising social media influencers. But having worked for premium brands like Benefit Cosmetics and Urban Decay and Space NK, I seen how they were utilising influencers within different markets. So I basically sat down on the internet, or else asked Neil, who do you know here? Who do you know there? Because he obviously he done a lot of media at the time, and he would have connected me to a lot of people. And I basically reached out to them in social media. Hey, blah, blah, blah. My name is, I'm bringing this product out. Would love to meet you for coffee, to tell you about the story, tell you about the product. Love to gift you some of the product. And back then, they would have actually done a post for you for free if they liked it. If they didn't like it, it was like, no, I'm not doing it. Fair enough. But if they liked it, and if you made the effort to go and see them and have a cup of coffee or buy them lunch, they would have actually taken the time to actually do a write-up on you. It was blogs back then. It's a very different scene nowadays.
When you say pay to play, so in case people don't know, that's your pay per
Paid-
click ads, that's
paid
your branding.
advertisement.
You do a lot of events as well, like big launch events.
Yeah.
Not spend, but what is your margin, so to speak? So it's a risk because you have to pump a lot of money into Facebook ads, PR, branding, and make an educated assumption that you're going to make more than that back. But it is a risk. How do you cope with that financial risk that is necessary for entrepreneurship? But what's your way of dealing with that?
I think I, in life, probably always have been a wee bit of a risk taker, and you have to be able to take risks, but make calculated risks, if that makes sense. There's decisions that I've made in business that have not been great, and I have had to, take it on the chin or take it on the wallet. But you wipe yourself off, and you get up and you get on with it, and you learn from your mistakes. I think a great lesson for me in business was probably going through my business partnership breakup, where I really had to dive into the numbers, really know my margins, really know where my profitability was, and actually start to set budgets in different departments. But I'm always the one that'll want to screw it to the very, very end, to be honest with you. I'm the worst. I'm the one that you have to pull back all the time. And that's why I have a good woman behind me. She's Claire Corr. She's been with me for, she'll be actually 10 years this year. And she gets out whip out, and says, you're not spending, you can't spend. But even today, I was sitting, and I had to sign off on our new foundations. And there's 28 shades. And if you think 28 shades, you have to be inclusive in this day and age. Are we going to sell all 28 shades really, really fast? No. There's probably about 20, 21 of them is going to sell really, really fast for us. But those other ones, you have to have it to be inclusive. So it came to the point where, do I want to have a sticky label on the back of this beautiful, foundation bottle that I have created to lower down the SKUs of the colours that we're not necessarily going to sell as much of, or do I want direct print? Whereas I was just like, do you know what? I've got this far now. We'll make sure and sell them. I want direct print because I'm not having a sticky label on the back of this here. It looks far better direct print. And it is wee decisions like that there that you have to weigh up. Is it worth the risk? And it is worth the risk, especially when you're in a competitive market and, you have to compete with, the bigger brands out there.
I done a wee bit of research and I've probably got these wrong. I think you were the Irish Female Entrepreneur of the Year this year. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you also won a big award last year with TikTok. Am I right in thinking you were the highest grossing Irish company on TikTok Shop?
So I think that was like, no, I don't think that
No?
was. I think that was Be Perfect.
All right. Sorry.
Okay,
Sam.
another Irish brand.
But you use TikTok.
No,
a lot.
I'm not going to sit here and like admit
get
that was me, but it wasn't. But no, look, they're brilliant. Like I love Bratton and I love what he does. Do you know what I mean? But no, the other award, I think the other award that you're talking about was the one for the power of women. It was basically the impact that I've made in the beauty industry in Ireland.
Right, okay.
So
Maybe that's it.
that was the one I won.
I stand corrected.
You're right.
Haven't heard the other one.
We have been recognised in TikTok.
I thought there was something on
But
TikTok.
we definitely have. We've been recognised. Obviously, we sold over 100,000 units and they recognised us for that there. Right. But no,
That's been it.
We've a bit to go yet.
So you're in Dubai on Monday, you're Waterford Tuesday, your awards all over the country. Do you think there's your kids, do you think they're looking a bit like you at your mum, like coming home late, go, go, go? Is there an exit strategy at one point, or are you just driven? Because you've said you need to be reined in. How do you control the drive and ambition within you whilst also being a mum and the full holistic spectrum?
Like there is some days where I actually feel so bad. You know what I mean? I've been away. But you know what? I think that me showing them what hard work is will build a resilient child and build a more successful child. And I see it already in my 16-year-old daughter. So Holly is 16 and just 2 weeks ago, now Holly obviously does TikTok Shop. She's great on TikTok. She works for Iconic Bronze. She's the face of Iconic Bronze. She earns commission off me on TikTok Shop. She also gets paid for live. She comes in and packs boxes, get paid for that. Like she's a grafter. And there's many would say that she doesn't really have to be, because if she really wanted it, she would get it. But I always have said, you're not getting everything handed to you. I didn't get everything handed to me, so you gotta work, bitch, So she came home the other day, and I actually thought this was a clinker. I was like, oh my God, you little bitch, you got me. I was like, Holly, that's all well and good, wanting to do your test and wanting to get a car and all, but like you have to be able to run this car, service this car, and don't be just looking at your dad because he sells cars and thinking that he's going to buy you a car, because then all you'll be seen as a spoilt little bitch that her daddy, sells cars and that you just get bought a car. And she was like, what are you on about? She was like, I have the money to buy my own car. I was like, how do you? And she was like, oh, I do. And I was like, no, you don't. And she showed me her TikTok money account. And she has 10.5 grand in it. And a Mercedes C-Class, if you don't mind, is what she's after. I swear to God. I was like, show me mine. What's in mine? So she's smart. Do you know?
I can't work TikTok. I remember putting up a reel before, and my son...
I'd say half the commission she's earned off me.
Well, what my delve into TikTok was putting up a thing about natural resilience, and my first comment was my son that says, "Hi, Dad, I need a poo," and I didn't make any money off it. When you reflect back so far, for somebody maybe wanting to start off, although it's a tough industry, you mentioned the word resilience. Give us some of the human characteristics that have served you really well. We've mentioned marketing, we've mentioned all that, but what is the human skills that have served you well to get to where you are today?
I would say probably kindness, because I am by fault probably too kind, as people say, for my nature, but that's just the person that I am. And I don't want to have to change the person that I am for the industry that I work in. Now, if you take the piss out of me, I'll come for you. But like by nature, I am just a very kind person. I think you have to be thick-skinned, because you're going to get it. Like, you know, people are going to come for you. You're going to hear this, that, and the other about you. But you know what? I listened to it all growing up as a child. Like whenever I was growing up as a child, I was the fat girl, you know. So I used to hear Congo, earthquake, gorilla, like I heard it all. And then, you know, half them boys that used to call me them names, then whenever I turned like 16, 17 and developed into a swan, they're all looking to come and curb me. And I was like, fuck off, you know. So I think thick skin is definitely something you need to learn.
So kindness, thick skin.
Thick skin, be, be able to be reactive as well, but calm your temper, because I mean, like, if you're from a big family, we all can have a temper. So it's like you kind of realize that if you sit back and you let it happen and evolve in front of you, that, you know, those people that are coming out to get you or whatever, they'll show their true colours. It's playing the patient game, as I always call it. Just sometimes not just jumping right in and, you know, going head first in.
The Pomeroy Tommy guns coming out of you.
That's right.
You've done incredibly well. Have you a team of, what's your team up to?
There's 54 at the minute. 54 at the minute.
You've broke the mold in many ways. You made a comment earlier that it's only really skyrocketed in the last 2.5 years. What does the next 5 to 10 years look like for you and Iconic Bronze and Bellamianta?
Well, I've always said that I wanted like an international beauty brand. You know, I'm not, if it's in the top 20, I will be absolutely happy, because like there's so much competition out there. I would just like to have the brand go international. There's so much more that I want to do with the brand. Obviously, we're opening up our first store ever in Rushmere now, and hopefully it'll be like February time. I want to build on my portfolio of products. Like that's where I'm at my best, when I'm developing products, when I'm being creative with the social media team. Like I love the whole creative side to the business. If there comes a time where I'm actually staring at the wall, looking at the clock, thinking, I don't want to be here anymore, that's my time to get out. Because if you lose the passion, then the business loses the passion with you. Now, don't get me wrong, there is times where I'd be like, Jesus, I'm exhausted. Like, I need a break. And then I'm just like, right, I need to take a break. I need to re-energize. I need to come back. Like, you know, it's Linda again, you know. But yeah, I think the next 5 years, I would say, obviously we want the business to go international, but I always say, make sure that you've secured your own home territories before you go, you know, dipping in other ponds. You can dip in the other ponds and have, you know, your mark made there, but it's very, very easy to lose what you have at home if you don't have it secured. And to be honest with you, that's what happened with Bellamianta. There was a brand that took their eye off the market, and I was straight in there.
Do you ever think you'll get to the point in the next 5 to 10 years where the company will run without you, or are you always going to be intricately involved in it?
From a creative point of view, yes, definitely. But there's people out there smarter than me, you know, and I've learned that by building my team. You know, if you get good people on your team who are smarter than you, they will actually help you build your business. And I didn't build this business to where it is today with just me. there's been a lot of people around me and a lot of smarter people around me, because like I would say I'm a wee bit wild. I'm creative. I'm a risk taker. Um, I love a good party. I love, to get people all together. But I'm not the most intelligent person ever. I wasn't the most book smart person ever. Can I count money? Yes. Do I know how to work out margins? Definitely. But there's definitely smarter people, and find people that's really, really good within certain departments. Like it's really, really good now because we've got to the point in the company where I have heads of departments, whereas I used to be the head of everything. But you can't micromanage everything. You'll run yourself into the ground. But I would say definitely, probably, I wouldn't say maybe in the next 5 years, but after that, I actually said it there, I think it was a year ago, I probably have a good 5 years of going at the pace that I'm going at now and keeping up that pace. You can't, the pace that I'm going at right now and have been for the past 10 years, that can't be sustainable forever. So you have to know when to hand over the reins and hand it over to a good team that is going to respect your values, respect your company values, and bring you to the next level.
Hand it over to Holly, maybe.
To be honest with you, nothing would surprise me. Or Ruby.
So on that note, my daughter's here tonight, 9 years of age. What sort of impact would you like your story to have on young people in the audience tonight?
I think if you have a burning desire to do something, don't let anybody put it out. I had a fire in my belly that could not be stopped. I used to literally think of like new business ideas all the time, and then the next thing that pop up, my husband would say to me, "You were just talking about that," and I'm like, "Fucking no, I was just talking about that." If you have a burning desire and a want to do something, and I just had this fire in my belly, and the fire's still there, it still can't be put out. If you can't put it out, then just do it. Do something about it, because if you never take the risk and you never try it, you'll never know. You might fall flat in your face, you might not, and God knows you could end up with success, but unless you try it, you'll never ever know.
I think that's an amazing way to wrap up the interview. Linda, just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, a round of applause for Linda Stinson.
Thank you.